When I was a pre-med student with the hopes of being a neurosurgeon, I had no female role models or anybody that I could ask questions or see what their life was like. Could I have a family? Could I be a surgeon? And so all of those things were really just kind of like really, I felt like a need that wasn't there on socials.
Welcome to the Doctor's Eyes Only podcast, brought to you by Vestia Personal Wealth Advisors, where we are on a mission to help the highest caliber physicians achieve wealth that matters. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Doctor's Eyes Only podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Oschman, and today's episode is very exciting. This is for every physician who's ever wondered, should I be on social media? And if I did, what would I even share? I'm very excited to be joined by Dr. Betsy Grunch, better known as Ladyspinedoc online. She is a practicing neurosurgeon, content creator, and one of the most authentic physician voices online. Betsy's journey into medicine started in high school when her mother became a C4 quadriplegic after a car accident in the line of duty as a police officer. That life-changing event inspired Betsy to care for patients with spinal cord injuries and ultimately pursue neurosurgery, a field where she's now making an impact both in the OR and online. With millions of views across platforms, Betsy has built a powerful following by showing up as exactly who she is. Welcome, Betsy. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
I've been a fan of yours for so long. It's really fun to actually be able to ask you some of the questions that I've had on my mind. And more importantly, I talk to so many, obviously we have so many physician listeners. I talk to so many doctors in my day-to-day who are, a lot of them are big fans of yours and just have a lot of admiration for everything that you've been able to do. And so I'm excited to maybe take them behind the scenes a little bit because I think I met you first 3 or so years ago at Pinnacle Conference and just have watched your platform explode since then. And so I know everyone starts somewhere.
Right.
And it's easy to look at where you are now and say oh my gosh, I could never. But yeah. I think maybe understanding a little bit more of how you have sort of grown could maybe help inspire some of our listeners out there to step out of their comfort zone and, whatever that looks like for them. Maybe take that step and help with education and, patient connection and all of that sort of thing.
So, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's easy to sit and look at somebody and say, oh, I can never do that. But as physicians, I mean, we start as pre-med students, med students, go to residency, you train and you do all these things. And any career starts like that, right? So you just don't pop out and be successful without the struggle or without the grind. And for me, it started not really with any intention of being where I'm at today, but it's been a fun ride. So it started during the pandemic. I was about 7 years into practice. So kind of had my, flow and success and clinical medicine. And, that came to a screeching halt with the pandemic, couldn't really practice elective spine stuff. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. And I love consuming content on social media. I loved the message that the pandemic really brought to healthcare, healthcare heroes. We're all here to help people. And it was just really inspiring to me. And I began to follow a lot of healthcare creators and thought, well, I mean, I have a message to share too. So I, shared a video, not really with the, any big hopes. It was just more of a kind of a comedy type video of what it's like to be a female surgeon. And so I made it in TikTok, but shared it on Instagram, downloaded it to share on Instagram because I knew Instagram was going to my friends or whatever. But in TikTok, it's goes out to the wide world. And I had no idea. I mean, I really didn't post much either. So on that platform. So anyway, it went I would say kind of viral and got a lot of traction, a lot of comments, a lot of engagement. And that was kind of inspiring to me for that platform that I could reach so many people with a message of what many women experienced like me. And so, yeah, I just started making videos. So I started just kind of educational stuff too. And just kind of, see what stuck. And it was by no means like a goal of becoming a content creator. It was more of a goal of sharing my life so other people could see what it was like to go through what we go through. When I was a pre-med student with the hopes of being a neurosurgeon, I had no female role models or anybody that I could ask questions or see what their life was like. Could I have a family? Could I be a surgeon? And so all of those things were really just kind of like really, I felt like a need that wasn't there on socials.
Yeah, I love it. I always think of that. Like I heard a long time ago, you can't be what you can't see. And so thinking about being able to put yourself out there, because there's going to be someone out there who's going to be inspired and realize like a future for themselves that they didn't realize was possible or maybe didn't think about. I remember my dad's an interventional cardiologist. And I remember going to like a fellowship reunion of sorts with him like a number of years ago. And they got together a picture of like all of the fellows who had trained at West Virginia University in interventional cardiology. And there were probably 60 men in this photo, one woman. And I was in college, I think, at the time. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, really? There's only one woman? Because I was raised to think that I could do anything. Like that's what I was always told. That was what. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, the lifestyle is rough. Like you have to do call and you have to do this and you have to do that. And so, with women wanting to have a family and all of that, like that can be really tough. And I think that scares a lot of women away. And like he just left it at that. But I've noticed that, I've remembered that. And then to this day, like I watch people like you and you're like leaving you're leaving clinic to like rush to your daughter's whatever and like see, support your kids and what they're doing and how intentional you are with the like quality time, even if you don't necessarily have the quantity of time that maybe some other parents have. And I just think it's so awesome that you put that out there so that like people can see you really can. Like having it all doesn't look the same for everyone, but like you can have what that looks like for you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really important just to kind of, I think for our field and the young women out there, if they're interested in medicine or not, just to kind of see what it's like to be a professional woman, what it's like to be a mom, what it's like to have multiple things going on and how you might balance that, what that might look like.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And there's so many physicians that are sharing, like they do lead with education. And I can tell, like you have the heart of an educator. You're very good at it. I love those videos where you explain different like spinal cord injuries or different cases or whatever. But it's got to be that coupled with everything else that you share that really builds trust, right, with your audience.
Yeah. I mean, my platform is very versatile, I guess I would say, because I post about a bunch of different things. I mean, everybody has their things that they like to share. But for me, I think what's made me successful is because I'm passionate about what I post about. And it's not just all one thing, because that's not just who I am. I am very passionate about education, breaking things down on an understandable level, explaining neurological diseases and things, but also about, that type of like video and production is not like sustainable for me. Like I mean, I love doing it, but like if I did that every single day, I would get bored because I don't.
That's also what you do all day.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to, just kind of let the curtain down on everything, whether it be about women empowerment, about being a mom, whether about inspiring your team or, your love of cars or whatever it is.
Yeah. Sneakers.
Shoes.
Yeah. Lily Pulitzer. Yeah. All of the above.
Right.
So I'm curious, when did you go from, because you're like, I threw up a video and then I realized like maybe I could do some education. And so it seems like it kind of happens like a little bit more organically than like with the goal in mind. When did you go from being like Betsy Grunch throwing some videos up on social media to being Ladyspinedoc? Like, was there a pivot point where you decided to make that a focused area for you, or did it just kind of happen?
I had like a bunch of different usernames, but actually on my Peloton is where I came up with like Ladyspinedoc because it was playoff spin. Spine.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I wasn't sure, like I wanted to keep something consistent across all of the platforms. And so that's just the name I gave myself. But I didn't mean for that to be like an identification, but it's become like I say that's on my
find you as Ladyspinedoc.
Ladyspinedoc is my birth given name. Yes.
People probably don't even realize that you're Betsy Grunch, or they look at, like, I don't know if this happens. I presume from like hearing from others, like, you go to check into a hotel and they look at Ray and say like, "Oh, Dr. Grunch, so great to have you." You're like,
all the time.
Hello.
All the time. We had once we went to the Ritz and they have the fancy mirror inside and it says, "Welcome, Dr. Raymond Grunch and Mrs. Betsy Grunch." And I was like, the hell? Like, okay.
Thanks for trying, I guess.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
Who's your favorite Peloton instructor?
Alex Toussaint.
Oh, yes. That is. I
also like Jess Sims is like I feel like we're best friends. She just doesn't know it yet because she has
kind of same.
Yeah, totally. She has a lot of same like vibes that I have, and I just love her and adore her so much.
I could see you two being really good friends, actually. Like, now that I think about that, yeah, because I go back and forth on the lifting between her and Tunde. Like, Tunde's if I really want the good like butt kicking, and then I'm going to be tired before the day even starts. But yeah, Alex is good on the bike.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, if I'm a doctor who's listening and I'm thinking like, okay, so I put some stuff out on social media. I assume that I would be concerned about what my employer might think. So did you ever face any pushback from your employer? Did you ever have to navigate anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think when you post a video, what will my friends think about me? What will my patients think about me? What will my colleagues think about me? Because you are a representation of who you work for. I'm self-employed, sort of. Like, I mean, I also contract through the hospital. I operate at a hospital. I take call at the hospital. I'm not a hospital employee, but still, me is slightly reflective on them. And so there has been like I don't post anything crazy, but like, sometimes I'll do a comedy video or something, and I've had one taken the wrong way, and I've definitely got called into medical staff services. And some videos question about, and almost always it's just like I didn't really, when I created it, there wasn't the intention behind it, but people can misconstrue, like everything. So yeah. But it's definitely made me, like, social has made me very intuitive to what people think of you, to what people think that you're saying or what you believe. And so it's made me a better communicator, honestly, because I know how I can like relay information, how it might be perceived. So I can relay it better the next time around. So I consider all those things like growing points and like important for like how we grow as people and become more knowledgeable. And if you look back at my videos in 2020, if any person out there is like, "Oh, I could never speak like her," go back and look at my old content. I was not the same, and we all grow and get better at all the things: video, lighting, quality, how we speak, all those things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like you said, just learning to think from different perspectives, like, because probably getting comments and things on your video over time, and I'm sure there's like the very negative side of that, but also there's the positive side of that, where it's like you learn what resonates with people and you learn what helps people, and then you're able to put more of that content out there.
Exactly. Yeah. They kind of understand like how people perceive you, or, like, and how you can make that better. So it's all good. There's some crazy stuff out there, but I survived neurosurgery residency. I can survive social media trolls.
Very fair. I'm trying to think. I just read Tiffany Moon's book recently, and she had like an acronym for haters. It was like having anger toward like everyone reaching success. I think that's like the right letters.
That.
And I thought about that because I was like, I mean, you would get a lot of haters, and you just have to be like, you know what? Like what it must take in order to decide to use your time to attack me is like, that's you, not me.
Exactly. It's reflect. Every once in a while, though, I'll get like just the desire to call them out. I actually just posted one today because, I mean, it's really like, come on, guys. Like, it's unacceptable to treat people that way. And, sometimes they just need to be called out.
That's, yeah. No,
People on their toes.
That's very fair. Are there any moments, because I also think about, like, again, if I'm thinking about a doctor and I'm like, maybe I start out some of this and then I think, well, wait, can you really be doing the content creator thing and be taken seriously as a neurosurgeon or whatever type of doctor you are? So I'm curious, have there been positives that have come out of like your relationships with your patients or like the growth of your practice that you're like, yeah, this is because I'm putting out what I am on social media?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my practice grew so much in the past 2 years that I actually had to I've had to put boundaries on who I take as patients, which I don't love because I want to see everybody, but I'm also only one provider, and who I care for has to be within my means of control. So my goal is to take quality care of patients. If I'm trying to take care of the entire United States, I can't possibly do that. So it did get a little bit crazy probably about a year and a half ago, where I realized like I am killing myself trying to help everybody and do this social thing. And it's not sustainable, and it's not good practice. It's not good medicine. So yeah, it's a good thing. So anybody that wants to, post, definitely your practice will grow. But you also have to realize, that it will gain attention. For me, for my patients, your question about my patients, it's really made my relationship very strong with a lot of my patients. They trust me because they know me as a person. They know my kids. They know I'm, human. They know everything about me pretty much. I mean, I don't hide very much. And on the same token, like if they don't like that, I want them to feel comfortable with whoever is caring for them. So if that's not me, that's great. I want everyone to feel that connection with their physician, because that's very important. So yeah, I would say probably like 90% of my patients follow me.
We built our firm around one goal: helping physicians achieve wealth that matters. Time with your family, freedom in your schedule, and confidence in your decisions. Not sure how you're doing today? Head to vestiaadvisors.com/DEO, that's DEO for Doctor's Eyes Only, to take our 3-minute physician wealth checkup and get a snapshot of where you stand today and what to do next. I'm thinking about like how many people talk about like, I wasn't listened to, I've had these bad experiences with doctors where they felt rushed or like they weren't really listened to, or, someone wasn't maybe giving them the attention that they wanted. And I'm thinking like they could follow you and be like, oh, like I trust Dr. Grunch. Like they wouldn't know you, but because they think they know you, they feel like they can trust you. And they're like, she will take good care of me. And so that's probably why your practice exploded.
Yeah, I mean, and just like what I said about Jess Sims, I feel like she's my best friend. She don't know who I am. Like people think the same about me as their doctor. Like, they trust. It's an undeserved trust. And, there'll be many times they come in to see my PAs or whatever, and they will literally be fine with me operating on them without me even meeting. Not that I do that, but, it's that type of trust that people have with your online connection, and it's powerful, and it's positive. I mean, as long as you're putting positive stuff out there. Well, I think that probably helped too, because I've heard doctors who've talked about like how hard it is when just more and more and more is being put on them, and appointment times are shorter and patient loads are higher. And so it's like if you only have 15 minutes with someone, but you don't have to really build that trust because it's already there, like that actually helps you take better care of people because you can really cut right to the chase of like what they need, Yeah. Yeah. It's less trust building, I guess, in that early relationship, which is good. Yeah. The other thing that I've wondered about, like, did monetization of your platform ever enter your mind, like in the earlier stages, or was that something that found you? Like, was that a goal that you had at some point? Was that something that found you, like these brand partnerships and, collaborations and things like that you've had the opportunity to do? Yeah, no, I mean, I initially, even well beyond when I had the like amount of followers and performance to get monetization, I was like, kind of felt weird about it. I'm like, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not why I came on socials. But at the end of the day, I mean, also the stuff that I put out there is my work. Like it's time away from my family that I use to make this video. It is a job, and, no one works for free. So neither should content creators. And so, I am very careful about how I pick, people to work with brand partnerships, for example, and only really seek out ones that are a natural fit, like, figs. I mean, obviously I'm worn figs since 2000 and early
Oh
2000s. And
yeah. So you're like, I know the brand. I love the brand. I'm buying them anyway.
yeah, I mean, I was like honored, it was like a rite of passage sort of. So those kind of connections are really cool. And there's, for as many brand partnerships or whatever I do, I turn down about 10 times that, because it's really crazy the amount of stuff that people want you to market, especially as a physician, because I don't want to take something with an undeserved trust of my knowledge and then promote it out there for people to believe. And so I really am really careful about that, because it can be perceived, and it's not good practice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you need to, like, you've earned that trust over time. I know you've used the word undeserved, but you did a lot to build that. Like, you could be a very different type of creator and have a different result in that realm, I think. And so it's like, you also don't want to compromise that by making decisions that are short-sighted. It's like the long game, I feel like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely about the long-term gain and the long-term trust. And like any kind of, money someone throws at you, it's not worth your representation, your brand. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, the one other thing that I've noticed, and I think this is different in the physician content creation realm, at least like the physicians whose content I'm watching. You really promote your team in
Mhm.
your videos, and you really elevate your team, and you've like really worked to extend that trust to your team. And you can tell that you are very intentional about empowering them, realizing that they're part of the patient experience, that they're part, like that's very important. Like, you lifting others up is very important. And I know, I mean, historically, leadership in medicine, again, I've not been a part of it, but I've heard so much over the years. That's not necessarily the traditional style of leadership in medicine. And so I'm curious, like, is that just you, or is that an intentional choice that you made at some point, or some of both?
Healthcare is a team. Like, I can't do my job without every person that gets the patient to me. That starts with a referring physician, my front office making the appointment, the person pre-certing the insurance, checking them in, my medical assistant checking their vitals, my PA doing all, the workup, all of those things. Like, they don't get a successful outcome because of me. And people that think that are short-sighted. And I started in healthcare from the bottom. I mean, I was a clerk filing medical records in my neurosurgeon's office. I was a valuable member of his team that helped me get to where I am today. And I learned about medicine because of that experience. I was a certified nursing assistant in high school. So I wipe butts, like, so like anyone that thinks they're above that truly doesn't understand the concept of healthcare. I grew up, with team sports. I think sports is, very similar and very important, in developing that team site. And so I think it's important for physicians, on social or not, just to elevate each member of the team, because if I empower them to make decisions and trust in what they do for my patients and come to me if they have questions or are unsure, then I know that I can trust them to do that. And then therefore they won't feel like, oh, I can't tell her, she's going to get mad about that, or then they hide something, and then what, then the patient has a bad outcome because maybe I didn't know their wound was leaking, or maybe I didn't know if they had leg pain because or DVT because the patient didn't want my medical assistant didn't want to tell me because they were worried. Whatever the case is, that kind of like fear type response that leadership gives is not developing a good team. So I intentionally talk about, or try to the best of my ability. I mean, I'm going to be honest, like, there are some limitations in what I can do because, like, for example, our hospital system doesn't let us post hospital employees as part of the social media policy. So I can't go out and talk, and I get criticism for that sometimes. Talk about your scrub techs. Talk about, I can't. I can't. My hospital won't allow that. So it is, but what I can do is, the people that work with me and that want to participate, and we do. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. No, I love that. The collaboration is very, I mean, like in everything you do, we didn't get into like your shop or anything like that. We'll make sure that we like put all the links to all of the things you're doing. Clearly I'm sporting one of your shirts today. But the collaboration, like the collaborative spirit that you have, like the rising tide lifts all boats. That's the quote.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And I think like I've been inspired by that as someone who follows your content and someone who sees that and then leads a company myself, seeing just like how you bring the team in and how like, I think that sports analogy is great because it's like you can tell you're kind of a coach and that you want them each to be able to be their best because you realize that that's going to like roll up to be the best team, best patient experience, best client experience and all of that. And that's like really what we want. It's like that's how we're making the world better.
Exactly.
I mentioned earlier that I'm wearing I love this shirt, Empowered Women, Empower Women from Shop Ladyspinedoc. And I'll mention my 8-year-old has the corresponding Empowered Girls, Empower Girls, which she also loves. My daughters are big fans of yours.
That's my daughter's favorite shirt too. She loves wearing hers.
It was honestly, I was scrolling and my 6-year-old was sitting next to me and she saw it on B in a picture. And she's like, Mommy, we need to get that shirt. And I think it was sold out of like her size. So I bought it for her bigger sister and then said like, you can have it when she grows out of it kind of thing. So how did Shop Ladyspinedoc come to be?
I mean, also it was just kind of one of those things that kind of fell into place. I mean, I think for me, I have a side of me that's very much into like matching and fashion. I love shoes. I love self-expression through clothing. And, I love colorful things. And one thing I felt like I really wanted, but I could never find was like something about like the spine or like a cool medical shirt or inspirational shirt. I could never like find a central location for items like that. And you can look on Etsy, you could look online, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, so I felt like I wanted to just create maybe a few cool t-shirts with a spine on it or something like that. And I ended up like last year, like just designing a few things, and it just kind of grew from there. And I had another creator, Dr. Beach Jim, who's a pediatric ER doctor, and she messaged me and she's like, how'd you do that? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, girl, it was like crazy. But you know what? Like I've done it. Like if you want to like just tag along, I've already kind of done that.
Like I did the hard stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we can do this together. And it's kind of grown from there. So I find it to be more of like, it's definitely not been like a huge, like win from a business standpoint, but it's more of a fun side. I love it. And I'm hoping that it'll grow into more stuff because it's just a passion project is what I like to say. And, landing a few other medical creators so we can just continue to grow the brand, to like have our self-expression and the designs that we like in healthcare and outside of healthcare, just to sport. So it's been a fun process.
Well, I'll say any women physicians or women surgeons who are listening, those women in medicine, women in surgery shirts are like, number one, soft enough because I got the chance to feel them like, at a display that you had. And then number two, like the colors are great. Like they're really great sweatshirts. They make me want to be a woman in medicine just so I can have the shirt. So if you ever want to do like a women in finance, I'll buy a lot.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Do you have any other dreams up your sleeve? Any other goals, like things that you've thought about or you're like, oh my gosh, I am doing all I can handle?
I mean, I do. I mean, I feel like most of the things that come upon me are just kind of one of those, I just stumble upon them, but I really would like to start a podcast and just like kind of a more of a platform to speak about the things that inspire me. But beyond that, I'm just here for the ride. So whatever happens, I'm here for.
You're like, whatever wants to find me. I love it.
Yeah. I'm just having fun and doing things that inspire me and inspire others. And just, it sounds kind of cliche, but just happy to be there and be a part of this ride with everybody. So
yeah, no, I've heard you talk a lot about like how big of a fan your mom is of like what you've been able to do. And like, obviously her story that, kind of started this whole thing with you wanting to be a neurosurgeon and all of that. I'm curious, like when you think about your kids and like the example that you're setting for them and, the inspiration, like what you're exposing them to and all of that, like how are you paying that forward, or like how are you hoping to be able to inspire them and like others of their generation?
I mean, a lot of the followers that I have and a lot of, what I do is to kind of inspire that next generation. And I think one of the things that is a part of me is that women in male dominated fields kind of thing. Like, right, I started this because I felt like I had no one to look up to when I was wanting to be a neurosurgeon. So I feel like I can share a little bit of that. And if you think about it this is getting really deep, which I like to do sometimes, but if you think about the overall aspect of how we provide healthcare to patients, people feel trust in their physician, but they feel trust in people like them. So if you have a specialty like neurosurgery where it's predominantly every surgeon that you can go to is a white male, there are millions and millions and millions of people that don't have that intrinsic connection with their provider. And there are many studies that show that you're going to get better outcomes with someone like you, race, gender, whatever the case may be. So if we impart upon how social and people that aren't the traditional like prototype of what that field could be, and we attract more people like us into these underrepresented fields, how we could possibly change the face of healthcare and global health. I just think it's really important for people to know that they can, do anything that they want to do based on. My mom was a disabled cop. I had no money. So like, I didn't come from wealth. I didn't come from
and no doctors in your family, right?
No people that graduated college in my family. No one that higher education. I took out all loans. I did this all independently, studied, in high school, worked summers in the physical therapy office and, worked my way from the bottom to the top. So if someone like me can do it and go to do neurosurgery to train, like anybody can. And
well, not just make it all the way to being a neurosurgeon, but getting into spine, which is like those numbers even get smaller, right? Like that's, those rooms are full of really strong men.
Yeah. 2% of spine surgeons are women.
Wow.
So yeah, that's really, really deep aspect to what I do, but I think it's true. And I think it's important to show, young girls that's possible, even if they don't want to be a neurosurgeon. Maybe they want to be an astronaut, but they could say, hey, if she could do neurosurgery, I can do that or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mentioned my kids earlier. My 6-year-old really wants to be a doctor. And right now she wants to be a family doctor because she wants to be able to take care of our whole family. She wants us all to be able to fire our doctors because she's going to be able to take care of all of us. But I love being able to pull up your content and Pam Maida's content. And so many different women surgeons, women in all different areas of medicine, and saying, look, this is Dr. Grunch. She's a neurosurgeon. What is that? Like talking about what you do, because I want her to see that anything that she wants to do is possible. And I don't want her to internalize like, oh, this is where I see women. Because it's very possible that the reason you see women in fields like pediatrics and OB and all that is just because that's where there's a lot of women. And so if you walk into that room and you think about yourself in that program, it's like, well, these people are like me. So I think all of that kind of perpetuates itself.
It is. Yeah. Medical students want to go and if they come in as an undecided like specialty, and they go and do rotations and they go into peds and around people like them and have a great experience because they really connected with all the residents, all the attendings, and they're like them. And they go into neurosurgery where they felt isolated and ignored. They're not going to have a good experience, and they're going to choose that specialty that made them feel good because that's what we all want.
Yeah.
And the more we change the way that looks, the more we change the face of the future.
Yeah. Well, and you're absolutely right. Like if I'm looking for a doctor, I am not just looking for a woman. I'm usually looking for a mom because that is a very real part of my life and like how I'm going to be able to, do certain things and like work certain things into my day to day and all of that sort of thing. And so I'm like, if if the doctor's a mom, then I know she gets it. And she's, I'm just going to be able to relate on that level and be open on that level. And so I mean, you're absolutely right. And I love, it's micro, like you're one person, but you're one person with a huge platform. And part of the reason I was very excited to have you on this show is because we have hundreds of physician listeners. And so I'm thinking like, if we can inspire some more physicians to be putting messages out there, whatever that looks like for them, whether that's getting on social media or whether that's just getting out in their community or being at elementary school career day or like whatever that looks like.
Yes.
It's all of those little things that are going to change the world over time.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, you have given us so much of your time, and I'm so thankful for that, knowing especially how busy you are. I have one last question for you. Okay. So at Vestia, we help doctors with their money as our day job, but we have this concept of wealth that matters. And something I learned, like growing up with a dad who was a very busy physician, is that you can work a lot and you can make a lot of money, and that's financial wealth, but that's only really one part of having an overall wealthy life. And so when we're helping doctors, if we're only focused on the finances and that's coming at the expense of time and relationships and health and all of those things, we've kind of missed the point. So I'm curious for you. You have so much going on, but I know you've had to think intentionally about where you're putting your time and your resources and your energy. So what does wealth that matters mean to you?
It's a great question because it's all the things that you mentioned. I mean, wealth is obviously financial wealth, but that only goes so far. And it comes to, personal wealth, self-wealth. That's, I think, the biggest priority is taking care of yourself, because you cannot possibly take care of anyone else, your patients, your children, your family, without you. And so that's something I've put a lot of value in the past few years, is self-care, health, my own health and wellness. All the other things, like just your time is money as well. And so investing your time in something that gives you happiness, that helps your self-wealth. Because that's so important. And in a job in which we literally, healthcare will take every second of your day if you allow it. I could work every day for the rest of my life if I wanted to, because healthcare never stops, and people always need help. But so you just kind of have to realize what fills your cup, so to speak, what gives you that internal wealth. So then you can outwardly do all the things that make you successful. So
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for what you do. I know you're so inspiring to particularly women, but to everyone who follows you both inside of medicine and outside. And I'm just very thankful for your leadership and your example, and like what you are to our daughters as well, because you absolutely are creating change. And I'm just, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. It was fun.
Are you looking to hire a financial advisor with physician-specific expertise? At Vestia, we work exclusively with doctors, helping you navigate things like student loan repayment, reviewing RVU-based contracts, navigating practice buy-ins or private equity offers, optimizing retirement plans, designing tax-smart investment strategies, and planning for things like parental leave or early retirement. We have over 150 years of combined experience working with specialized physicians. So chances are, if you're thinking about it, we've helped another doctor through it. We built our firm around one goal: helping physicians achieve wealth that matters. Planning that's not just about numbers, but about designing the life you actually want to live. That means your wealth lets you live the life you imagined when you first started this journey. Time with your family, freedom in your schedule, and confidence in your decisions. Not sure how you're doing today? Head to vestiaadvisors.com/DEO, that's DEO for Doctor's Eyes Only, to take our 3-minute physician wealth checkup and get a snapshot of where you stand today and what to do next. Thank you for listening to the Doctor's Eyes Only podcast. We hope today's conversation advanced your journey to wealth that matters. Please make sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss a single one of our amazing episodes we have coming up. See you next time. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Vestia Advisors LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be construed as legal or tax advice and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified attorney or tax advisor. This information is not an offer or a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Before investing, you should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses associated with investment products. Investment decisions should be based on an individual's own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Diversification and asset allocation do not ensure a profit or guarantee against loss. Consult your financial professional before making any investments. Investment advisory services offered through Vestia Personal Wealth Advisors, Vestia Retirement Plan Consultants, and Vestia Advisors LLC. Securities offered through Osdale Financial Partners, Inc., 5187 Utica Ridge Road, Davenport, Iowa, 52807. Member, FINRA, SIPC. Vestia Personal Wealth Advisors, Vestia Retirement Plan Consultants, Vestia Advisors LLC, and Osdale Financial Partners, Inc. are independently owned and operated.